Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Bound to Truth. This is your host, Christopher Lopez. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday, and not just any Sunday, St. Patrick's Day. Hope you're enjoying that great weather. Drinking some of that green beer. And feel free to take a listen to our first episode I do with my brother Jonathan and myself on episode 1 back in January. Give you a little good gander and listen about St. Patrick, a little history about Ireland. With that, some fun, cool facts and some theories. But yeah, hope everybody's having a good day. We're getting closer to spring. Sun's coming out, staying lighter out here in this Pacific Northwest area. And hope everybody around the world is having great weather and enjoying their day as well. So today we're going to be talking about Project CERN. And I gotta say, that was a lot to unpack and put together and piece together. Um, Number one, because I'm not a scientist, not a physicist, I'm not an engineer, but I definitely like the theories and the rumors and all that jazz regarding behind it. And I try to get as much information as possible to do it justice and so forth. But it is a lot of material. Might feel a little jumpy um, with it, but I hope to do it justice, like I said, to be very informative, make up your own mind, regards to the CERN project. And of course, you're probably asking yourself, what is Project CERN? What is that? And I'll be glad to talk more about that when we begin. But before we begin with our episode here, want to let you know how to reach us. Feel free if you have any comments, questions, stories, want to be a guest in an interview on this podcast. First email is to boundtotruth34@gmail.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube, obviously here on Spotify, and now newly as well as on X. So yeah, please, we're trying to expand the platform a little bit more. Took a lot of work to do so, but it's a work in progress. And also want to give some shout outs. I know I talked a little bit on Thursday about an interview I had with Randy Bauer in his Bigfoot experience out in Minnesota. I'm going to be doing an interview with him fully on Thursday. And like I said before, he has a lot to unpack himself and some fantastic stories and just full of energy. And then I had another great conversation with the gentleman named Sean on Friday night, who's locally here in Washington on his Bigfoot experience, and pretty interesting tales as well. So I'll be doing some interviews there. And then I had one more that I will be doing a shorter interview with, and his name is a good old high school friend from back in Tulare, California, David, and we'll try to get him in a couple of weeks as well. And so, but I want to give those guys a shout out. Thank you for your conversations and contributions and support for this podcast, and also sharing your voice. Again, the platform is yours, just like to you and everybody else. So let me go ahead and start kicking it and start getting this thing going here. So we're going to talk about Project CERN. And again, I know quite a bit of Project CERN and what it's about. It's definitely some type of experiment-based, very huge collider that is underground, that lies between Switzerland and France. But basically, it's a device to more or less discover more about how our universe was created and basically where we come from and so forth, and other potential discoveries that we don't know about of the unknown, I guess you could say. But basically, yeah, I'm gonna start reading it here. So here's some notes. I'm gonna read this. I pulled some websites online, so I'll read some things verbatim. I do have some videos that hopefully can give better detail of what I'm talking about, and then you could put your thoughts and theories together, or you may have more questions like I do. But what is CERN? So here we go. The European Organization for Nuclear Research, known as CERN, is an intergovernmental organization that operates the largest particle physics laboratory in the world. Established in 1954, it is based in Marin, west suburb of Geneva, on the France-Switzerland border. It compromises of 23 member states. CERN is an official United Nations General Assembly observer. CERN's main function is to provide the particle accelerators and other infrastructure needed for high energy physics research, Consequently, numerous experiments have been constructed at CERN throughout international collaborations. CERN is the site of the Large Hadron Collider, or LHC, the world's largest and highest energy particle collider. The main site at Marin hosts a large computing facility which is primarily used to store and analyze data from experiments, as well as to simulate events. As research require remote access to these facilities, the lab has historically been a major wide area network hub. So, pretty much, it's a giant science experiment of colliding particles and so forth, and God knows what other things. But I'll be glad to note more down this podcast what it's notably uh, known for with this discovery and inventions. And one of them I was kind of shocked about, but we'll get to that here. So the next thing I wanted to do, if you ever go to the CERN website, it has this logo, and it looks like, in a weird way, it looks like the number 666. But when I say it looks like the number 666, it's not in the order like writing the number 666. It almost starts like the first six starts sideways, then the other six symbol starts more down right down, and then the other six kind of curves up. That's the best way I can describe it. It's kind of weird, but it looks like 666. And then in the middle of it, it says CERN. So, kind of come with your own theories what that means. Demonic, satanic, those are one of the theories that go out there, that is trying to open some potential portals, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself on that. And then the interesting thing too is they do have a statue called the Lord Shiva. And basically, this statue is an interesting pick. Well, so it's supposed to be from India, a donation of some sort for the Project CERN. And Shiva pretty much is like the goddess of the universe. But it is interesting because of what it defines and what it means. So I'm going to read a bit about what that symbol, that statue means. So, in the Hindu religion, this form of the dancing Lord Shiva is known as the Natari. If I'm butchering that big time, and it symbolizes Shakti, or life force. As a plaque alongside the statue explains, the belief is that Lord Shiva danced the universe into existence, motivates it, and will eventually extinguish it, which is very, very interesting. So I believe the main thing about having that statue, it sounds like, it's just to symbolize, discovering the universe and having this goddess statue to be there. Some other people believe, well, it's a destroyer of universes and there's some evil intent into it. Again, interesting stuff. Probably looked a little too deep into it, but it is interesting that the symbol looks like 666 on its website, and then you have this Lord Shiva statue. All right, so we're going to move forward here. So some of two or three of CERN's famous accomplishments in regards to their discoveries. So CERN's famous accomplishments is the birthplace of the World Wide Web. Now, I have to chuckle a bit because I did not know that. I always thought the believing joke is Al Gore invented the internet. And if anybody doesn't know who Al Gore is, then you were too young to listen to this episode, but I'm glad you're listening to it. And I am old. But anyways, he was vice president of President Clinton. Little ridiculous joke there. But yeah, it was the birthplace of the World Wide Web. Also, what's famous for is the Higgs boson particle was discovered, or quote, the God particle. In summary, it is believed to have discovered that the particles in the universe without mass would make it impossible to form the solid matter of what we have today and how we existed, thus calling it the God particle. So basically, it's like pouring thick pancake syrup in a container to slow down BB bullets that keep bouncing off the wall to make them more stable. So basically, that's like the best dumbed down version I can explain what the God particle is. So basically, when you have all these particles in the universe that are going around, bouncing around, supposedly that the only way they can stay stable is having mass to create more of solid things to exist in the universe, planets, us, right? Again, that's the theory, that's the belief. Of course, my whole thing is like, well, if the universe is empty, how does something come out of nothing? That's just my kind of back in my mind idea. But that's what it's known for, is it is discovering the God particle. But in summary, the goal of CERN is to discover our universe and how it is formed and made, and to unlock other secrets of its capabilities. But to what end? So, yeah, that's the summary of a little bit about CERN. Not too deep about it. It's basically just a giant science experiment in the surface area, and I'm kind of, maybe I'm sounding like I'm insulting that in a way. I don't want to do that. Um, but there is some interesting conspiracy and various means of what they're doing. So there were some interesting things that came out regarding CERN, and I'll talk about one that was interesting. And I actually seen the video of this, and this is basically supposedly the fake human sacrifice back in August of 2016. So basically, there's this video that appears to show some kind of occult ritual being performed on CERN's campus that culminates in a human sacrifice. The video was filmed from the point of view of an observer watching the ritual from a second or third story window, who then flees while cursing profusely. And by the way, that sacrifice that was happening, supposedly, what was happening was actually right in front of the Shiva statue that I was talking about earlier. And again, I find that interesting. Again, that's why I kind of brought up and talked a little bit about the 666 and the Shiva statue and this ritual that was videotaped, and it was videotaped. That's a real video back in August 2016. But to go a little more into it, I'll read the response from CERN in regards to that ceremony that happened. So a CERN spokesperson has told, let's see, the France press, that the video is only a prank and that nobody actually died. Still, she says, these scenes were filmed on our premises without official permission or knowledge, and CERN does not condone this type of spoof, and investigation is on its way. The spokesperson confirmed that the only people capable of gaining access to CERN facilities are people with security clearance, which means these pranksters must be CERN employees or visiting scientists. The CERN spokesperson did not comment on the possible subjects. Interesting. So it's not like some teenagers running around in some neighborhood at the middle of the night, maybe putting some graffiti on or doing whatever. But the only way to get on that premise is you had to have security access. You had to, like they said, be employed with CERN or be a visitor of some sort. So for being brilliant scientists, this is a pretty immature prank. That's why I call it a little bit sus, because it shows in the video that person getting injured. I mean, hurt. Not sure if that person died or not, or again, if it's a prank, this is a stupid prank. And I don't know what the motivation or the justification of what this prank is. It's really sus about it. So again, what was the point of that so-called prank, and why in front of the Shiva statue? And obviously, this was handled internally by CERN. And how do they know? How do they know it was a prank? And the police knew of it. And how did the police know it was all a prank, right? I mean, usually when something shown on a video that could be potentially a murder, I would typically think that law enforcement would get involved to make sure it's not real, to make sure the person's okay. But somehow it just got swept under. So it was very, very interesting to see that video. I saw it years back. But again, I it's again interesting that wasn't talked more about it, and it's just pushed as a prank. And honestly, I hope to God it is. I'm not wanting that to be real, to just to create sensationalism, and so forth. But I hope to God it was a prank. But again, to me, it just points to that it's not, and it's just bad taste, very poor taste. And then in regards to the CERN and their experiments, the God particle, there's a video I'm going to play regarding Stephen Hawking's concern. It's a very, 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 very short video. It's about maybe a minute long, but basically his concern about Stephen Hawking's concern about the CERN using the collider to potentially maybe open a portal or destroy the planet or universe. But it's interesting that Stephen Hawking, before he died, had his thoughts on top of it. So I'm gonna get that prepped up here in that video, and I've gotten a little better at it, by the way. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. So, but let me make sure I share my screen first. Okay. Well, I lied. I'm not that good at it at all. Almost there. Sorry, everybody. All right. And here we go.
Stephen Hawking sounds like he's been reading a lot of Stephen King. All of a sudden, everything's out to get us. Except with Hawking, us is the universe. Hey everybody, I'm Patrick Jones, and welcome to Buzz 60. The God particle is basically how anything we know is able to have mass. It was confirmed to exist at the Large Hadron Collider in Europe. Hawking thinks the God particle not only has the power to giveth mass, but it can taketh away as well. Hawking says, theoretically, he thinks the God particle is very unstable at high energy levels, like those created in a large collider. The professor thinks it could break down and spread out, collapsing time and space onward, and we wouldn't see it coming.
So, little short thoughts by good old Stephen Hawking. Yeah, pretty concerning regarding using this technology. I'm not saying that, hey, science shouldn't take chances, but if you're playing with a gun, you're not sure how to use it. That's a little bit dangerous, but yeah, but there's going to be building more to that in a bit, more of deeper concerns about using that collider, which I have some great comments I will share with you, and also another video in depth as well. So moving on here, there is also this other video regarding YouTube CERN scientists open portal to another dimension. So I'm gonna let this one play, let you kind of gather your thoughts into your theories and everything. But this one was quite interesting as well. So here we go.
One of the biggest scientific experiments ever conducted, bringing together over 10,000 scientists from 85 different countries. The LHC measures over 27 kilometers in circumference and stretches beneath the Swiss-French border. Weighing over 7,000 tons, the LHC is so powerful that scientists were able to create the conditions that occurred 1/1000th of a second after the universe began.
The goal of the Large Hadron Collider with heavy ions, and namely the ALICE experiment in particular, is to recreate conditions that existed some 10 microseconds after the Big Bang, when all of the matter in the universe was in the form of very hot soup of quarks and gluons.
They've been conducting experiments with the LHC since 2008, where they recreated the Big Bang. However, in July 2022, they attempted their biggest experiment to date. Officially, the experiment was supposed to learn more about Higgs boson and how particles interact with each other. But rumors have abounded that they were attempting to open a portal to an alternate universe.
So now we are ready to inject the LHC in B1 and again
Start power group 1234.
10 to the 11 total.
Start power group
Set up for injection
1235.
and getting ready for run.
On the fateful day of the experiment, CERN's control room was flooded with reports from scientists all around the world that something had gone wrong. It's said that when the experiment was over, a strange energy had been released that couldn't be explained. Now, this energy has come to be known as the portal incident. For over 14 hours during the experiment, the Earth's crucial geomagnetic field that protects us from the sun's radiation was weakened. Solar wind was able to pass through a massive gap that had been torn open by CERN's experiment, causing a massive fluctuation in the global electrical grid. The worldwide LHC computing grid was impacted, which provides data storage for over 500,000 CPUs in 200 computer centers globally. The Earth's geomagnetic field is crucial to supporting life on Earth. as it protects us from solar radiation, cosmic radiation, and other space-borne threats. And while the incident was short-lived and the world's electrical grid returned to normal within a few hours, no one can be sure as to what happened during that time. It's no coincidence that an event like this has never been recorded in the entirety of human history until CERN's experiment.
So before I continue, not only was these like things of like potential dimensions being open, but the experiment itself causing that electrical magnetic field, if I'm saying that right, that protects us from solar radiation, that protects us from all those things that hit Earth. Basically, they talked about the blackout, which was quite interesting, and it's never been recorded in human history like that, which I find very, very interesting. And also my concern is, I'm all about research and science, but God forbid, what happens if they did do an experiment at the time where there was a massive solar flare event that happened that not only just pretty much destroyed the internet, but did some damage to the Earth itself in a physical level and caused that harm. But again, it's just showing the consequences of in a way of these experiments. Like I said, I'm all about the experiments, but not where it could potentially cause devastation to the planet, especially when we have those electronic magnetic fields protect us from the solar rays, or God forbid, another portal to God knows what. But anyways, I'll continue on. This video is almost over.
We've been talking about the Large Hadron Collider and physics experiments at this level. The key word is energy. What they're trying to do there is mimic, approach the energies that happened at the beginning of the Big Bang. When all the energy that was released, some of it stayed energy, a lot of it turned into matter. And so if you want to understand the nature of that matter, you need to pull it apart and have a good look at it. And you do that by banging particles into each other that smash into their constituent particles, elements, even, smaller and smaller and smaller subatomic elements. And you need huge energies to do that.
Current theories that are emerging are numerous. Some of them are pretty ridiculous, but many of them actually have scientific weight behind them. Quantum physicist Max Lachlan, a 17-year-old genius known as the smartest kid in the world right now, believes that CERN destroyed the universe when they conducted their experiment. He believes the force exerted during CERN's experiments shifted particles between dimensions, creating what he calls an infinite loop that plucked up.
So that's interesting that this young genius, by the way, he kind of reminds me of one of the Backstreet Boys back in the 90s. I forgot, was it Nick Lachey? If I said his name, I don't know, maybe that's the wrong guy. But anyways, but that's interesting where this genius who's taken very seriously, he's pretty much like the scientist of just, I don't know, call astrophysics or just scientists of like the Doogie Howser version of scientific research. But that's interesting how he potentially believes that somehow, hey, did we merge within the universe? Did we open a universe to something else? Did we merge with that universe? And that's quite interesting to kind of think that way. And I'm kind of thinking, if we did, wouldn't we know the difference? Would we see something happening? Maybe we wouldn't. We have no idea. But then also, side note, what about the Mandela effect? That's a whole nother episode itself, where people believe one thing happened and then actually something else happened that was totally two different events. Like, for example, I'm sure people have heard about the Berenstain Bears theory, where people thought it's called the Berenstain Bears when people said, no, it's the Berenstain Bears. Or the Monopoly character, people thought he had a monocle when said he didn't have a monocle. So small things like that. But it's interesting that he would throw that concern and theory out there, because just because it's small doesn't mean it can't be. Just because these particles are colliding or small, I believe doesn't mean it can't cause any damage. No different than a bullet hitting a person, right? Just because it's small doesn't mean it can't do any damage to the body. What if it's kind of like that as well? So little bit of interesting thoughts in top of that. And by the way, ever since after 2012 and just the world and where it's at right now, gosh, even after COVID, I don't know about you, but things are not the same. Things are different. People are different. And I'm not saying to knock on people or anything like that, but I kind of personally feel there's a change. And maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't want to go too conspiracy on that, but love to hear your thoughts on that. Kind of what were your thoughts if you feel the same way about how things have been recently in our society and just what's going on around the world. Was it caused because we slipped in some other dimension that we shouldn't be into? Who knows? Again, who knows? Sounds like a Twilight Zone episode that needs to come out. All right, this video is almost done. I think about maybe 20 seconds left. So here we go.
Us out of our current timeline and placed us onto an alternate timeline. His justification for this is the finding of 3 new subatomic particles found in the debris that had not been discovered by any other experiment before. Other scientists believe that CERN may have accidentally opened a portal to an alternate universe, allowing beings or substances from another dimension to pass through into ours.
Now, that's the end of that video. But so I like what he says at the end, opening portals for other beings to come into ours. I mean, look what's going on with the UAP report, right? Translucent, transdimensional objects coming in and out. We talked about the Miami incident. Beings phasing in and out of reality. And you know what? What else is phasing out of reality? I'm sure there's plenty of stories and experiences people have out there we don't know nothing about. Either they're too scared to talk about it. They may feel ridiculous or even threatened. We don't know. But is it that too ridiculous to connect those things that are going wrong or going wrong around the world that's happening to possibly connect with this? Who knows? Maybe it's not connected at all. It could be nothing or it could be everything. So that's the video I wanted to share regarding the open the portal to another dimension. I thought that was quite interesting. Um, now I did find one last thing, because like I said, is such a big task. I'm not a physicist. I'm not going to pretend to be, but I try to find things that I like that I can read that can help me understand, and I like to read it verbatim from articles or people's comments. And there was one I was actually have some success with from Reddit. I'm sure a lot of people know what Reddit is, 4chan, all that jazz. Reddit comment by Nick Hinton 333. So I'm going to read this. This is kind of a summary of what I was talking about. I think even better than what I was talking about, and probably should start from there. But hey, it's all good. Save the best for last. And there'll be a video attached to it, one last video attached to it as part of this Reddit comment by Nick Hinton 333. So here we go. CERN is messing with time and changing our past. This is actually not too far-fetched to believe if you take in consideration what theoretical physicists say about the speed of light. If an object were to somehow travel faster than it, the object would actually go back in time. Is it possible CERN managed to break the light speed barrier? Would something going back in time change the past? Most physicists say traveling faster than the speed of light is impossible. However, in 2011, CERN detected an anomalous particle that seemed to do just that. The claim was supposedly debunked, and the scientist who announced the discovery was forced to resign. That's interesting. Interesting. Either hiding it or he was drunk and just said, "You got to go, dude." But that is interesting that he had to resign. This caused a lot of controversy in the physics community and has been a topic of heated debate ever since. So, well, I'm glad it's still a heated debate to this day. We just don't hear about it in our news media. Anyways, so another part of this article is, but even if it didn't happen on the occasion, is it possible that it's happened other times we aren't being told about it? Conspiracy theorists claim that the Mandela effect is proof of time manipulation. However, skeptics say it is nothing more than the result of faulty memory. The Mandela effect is a term used to describe a situation where many people remember a certain event occurring when it actually didn't happen. For example, many people believe Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 80s. However, they were shocked to find out that he really died in 2013 and lived a long, happy life. Hence the name of the phenomenon. The Mandela effect is noticeable in many logos and cartoons. For example, the Fruit of the Loom logo had never had a cornucopia. Curious George never had a tail, Mr. Monopoly never had a monocle, and the Pikachu never had a stripe on his tail. So before continuing the article, that's what I was talking about earlier regarding that the possible cause of Mandela effect is because of CERN's projects and what they're doing. It is interesting, but you know what? I would love to hear people's thoughts if they think it is just all faulty memory, or if they truly believe, no, that happened. How is that did not happen and this did happen? What's going on? Love to hear your thoughts on that. I kind of find it very, very interesting. All right, continuing on here. Some say CERN is not only changing the past, but shifting us into different timelines within the multiverse. Once again, this sounds crazy. However, CERN openly talks about working with D-Wave Systems, a quantum computing company that claims its machines work by collaborating with parallel universes. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, parallel universes. Are we working? What does that even mean, actually? Collaborating with parallel universes. I mean, are they like collaborating with other intelligence in parallel universes, or just its particles, or whatever you want to call it? A lot of questions behind that, but that's an interesting claim and a possibly dangerous claim. And to continue on the article, some say CERN is not only changing the past, but shifting us into different timelines within the multiverse. Once again, this sounds crazy. However, CERN only talks about work. Oh, you know what? I apologize. I'm repeating my notes here that I already forgot to erase. Anyways, so in regards to that video or that a statement I said earlier, here's a video regarding that timeline differences and parallel universes, so forth. So this is some Gordy Rose on YouTube here. So let me get that prepped up, and I'm gonna play it right now.
This quote is from a respectable scientist, in fact, one of the founders of this field, that may look a little strange to you who don't follow theoretical physics, but there is a very clear prediction that our most successful theory of nature makes. And that is that there are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number of parallel realities, as real as this one, that have different consistent histories. So imagine a world where all of the laws of physics as we know them are obeyed, but different decisions were made along the way. Different decisions at the level of tiny microscopic particles, different decisions all the way up to what you chose to eat for lunch and whether you chose to come to this session or not. Quantum mechanics makes a very specific prediction that all of those are as real as the thing that you remember. And this is bizarre because we don't see those other things. But science has reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit those other worlds. And quantum computers are perhaps the most exciting of all of these that we have within, or almost within our grasp right now. So people from a physics background love this.
So yeah, that was Gordy Rose. He's a founder of the D-Wave, the one I was talking about that claims that they can exploit parallel universes to solve problems that we have no other means of confirming. So it's like my thought on that, I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. It's like being Nostradamus in our century with these predictions, but not just predictions, seeing other different parallel universes and trying, and I guess maybe it's to see if we make decisions here based on those other parallel universes that are exactly like ours, but with different outcomes, then how I guess that would affect how we would make decisions going forward. Like, for example, oh, well, this situation with this country and this country happens. So you know what? In that parallel universe, we want to avoid making that decision. I'm hoping I'm making sense there. Is that playing God? Is it cheating? Heck, it kind of reminds me of like Back in the Future too, when Marty bought that almanac and Biff took it and started, excuse me, um, making all these bets and do all that stuff. That's the best way I can think in describing what he's talking about in the most simplistic form. But again, that is an interesting thing to think about. And does it work? I mean, obviously, if someone has something like this, they're not going to go and just want to share this toy. It's not like we can hook it up to, like, if you guys seen Rick and Morty, interdimensional TV, we can watch different universes across and see where things going on, even though that would be kind of interesting. I like to see where I'm at in a different universe. Maybe I be a lot taller, maybe I'm bald, or I have no idea. Maybe I'll be a famous musician, a famous actor, or maybe just be in jail. Not sure if I want to know why those things. That's okay. But anyways, interesting stuff there. So the last piece here in regards to that, to finish up what this Reddit user stated. According to official history, CERN created the World Wide Web, which I talked about already. Some say the real reason for that, though, is to gather as much data about the world as possible, which is not far-fetched. I mean, look at our government with NSA and all that jazz when what's his name came out. Oh my God, the whistleblower with regards to how we're getting tapped on our phones. So guarantee I'm gonna kick myself later for not knowing the name. The data could be put into advanced computers to create simulations of the future. I also believe that algorithms. Once future events are predicted, scientists could act accordingly. Advanced simulations could also tell them what little changes in history would create drastic events in the present. If CERN really is capable of time travel, they could theoretically send data to scientists in the past, tell them how to shape the future. Perhaps this is why right now we only notice subtle differences. So is CERN improving its technology in the past from the future? This sounds confusing, but this is what is known as retro causality. Instead of a cause creating an effect, the effect creates the cause. This phenomenon is actually supported by quantum theory. So there you go about CERN. Lot to unpack. I guarantee I didn't even touch the surface of it. I just wanted to talk about things I found interesting, um, in regards to, are they trying to open portals to potential gateways, maybe demonic? We have no idea. What's up with the Shiva statue? What's up with the 666 symbol? What's up with the Frank um, sacrifice? What's going on with not just opening dimensions but alternate realities, and supposedly this does exist, but again, not talked about too much. What's going on with using this instrument that it can affect our planet altogether, like what happened with the solar flare that happened. So kind of my questions and thoughts summary. Does CERN have notable tensions? Are they trying to open portals to hell or another dimension? Did we actually merge with a multiverse similar to ours? What is the main agenda per conspiracy on CERN's work compared to just the curiosity of how the universe was created? Is it to find unlimited power, to bring other beings to discover? Is it also possible why the sightings of UAP are because of dimension openings? Again, everybody, a lot to unpack on that. Would love to hear your thoughts, theories. As this podcast is, when I put this one out, I was thinking about this. Any podcast episode I put out, I'm not here to just inform you and tell you everything I know. I don't know everything, but I am very curious and I'm very inquisitive. And I'm hoping that this will invite others to share their thoughts, theories, um, you know, and just beliefs and all. Because I'm very curious to hear all that. I could be wrong about everything about what I'm talking about. I could be right in some of those things, but this platform again is to really kind of collaborate and share all these things. Again, this is me just throwing a subject. It's like being in a group where I'm like, hey, I got a question. I heard about this. Let's talk about it. And I want all of you um to to engage this conversation, but not just these episodes, but other episodes we've had too. We'd love to hear everybody's thoughts, theories, and so forth. Like I said, this is a very strong, safe space, and so forth. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and end this episode here. But before we do, please hit the subscribe to us on Spotify. as well as on YouTube and on X. And please definitely join our group on Facebook. Again, the name is Bound to Truth. And then please feel free to reach out with comments, questions, theories, want to be interview a story, anything and everything. This platform is yours. Want this to be a safe, fun space, but also be taken serious as well, and so forth. And that email again is boundtotruth@34gmail.com. boundtotruth34@gmail.com. Everybody, have a great Sunday. God bless. Be safe. Enjoy that green beer. Talk to you later.